Aslama, and welcome to another episode of itsMaShow. Today, I'm with the homie Moss. Moss is a friend of mine I met on set for a casting call, and my man is from Austin. Introduce yourself to the people.
What's going on, people? My name is Moss. I'm from Austin, Texas, as my hair just said. And I came out to LA to go ahead and just, check out the scene. There's a lot of creative people out here. There's a lot of cool things that are happening. So I'm glad that I got a chance to just meet Mahar on set, one, and then also see what's happening out in LA. But a little bit more about myself. I mean, there's just so many things to go into. I feel like one of the big things I'll call out though is just I spent a large part of my 20s pouring into the professional side of myself, which is just diving deeper into a career. But going into the latter half of my 20s and my 30s, I really want to focus on the creative aspect. So awesome to be put in spaces and rooms like you, my man, and to see where we can go from there.
So, what career were you pursuing beforehand? Were you still in the entertainment industry, or were you more brick and mortar?
No, it was tech sales, or it is tech sales.
Okay.
So I'm still in tech sales now.
Nice.
And that's the thing that pays the bills.
That's nice. That's nice.
But yeah, so and it does well. I like it, and it's it takes care of the business and everything like that. But for a long time, I feel like that role or that job really only allowed me to be a part of myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't really allowing me to be like the full version of me. And even though I tried to like really embed myself into the culture from a corporate perspective, like again, I've had a lot of benefits there. I'm blessed to say that I've had those experiences, but I still wasn't being fulfilled. And it took me a while to be able to understand, like, okay, no matter how you try to slice up this pie and you try to be this thing, like you're never really going to be fully marching on your purpose, your passion, trying to box yourself in inside this corporate cookie, space.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
So, were you? Did you get into the entertainment industry in Texas? What got you into it? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I got into it in Texas. There was a little lady I was talking to.
Okay.
She's a model at the time, and she was doing runway walks, and she was like, hey, the class that I'm in, they're looking for more models, and you should come out. And so for me, back in the day, like back when I was a kid, I've always liked aesthetics, and I was just like, I would think about New York Fashion Week, London, or Milan, or like
So
LA.
you were somewhat of a fashionista growing up. Excuse the term. I don't know any other one.
Poor guys, right? Yeah. I'm gonna wear it proudly, man.
You had style growing up.
I thought I had style.
Okay.
Don't say all that, man. I had to grow into what I think style is today, and that's still evolving. But yeah, I had at least appreciation for it, and then so me and the girl that I was talking to at the time, she's doing modeling. I'm like, dang, like I had forgot all about that. Growing up too, I used to like watch with America's Next Top Model.
A lot of us did.
Right? Yeah. I was like, I could do that.
I could do that.
But being too scared to actually like go out and cast or whatever the case was, right? So I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I mean, I've always thought about at least being around that space. I never thought about actually walking in those shoes, right? So I came out to the classes, and it was I started walking in front of one of the designers out there in Austin. Funny enough, she's from California. She used to work with Tyra Banks and stuff like that. So she's like building up her brand, her design, looking for more models in Austin before she came back to California. So that's how that basically got started. And ever since then, it's been more so runway walks, some photography, still photos, and things like that. I've also had an opportunity to do some short films as well, which has been pretty cool.
That was going to be my question. You focus mostly on modeling. You trying to get into acting? Because based on your history, it's all style, fashion, modeling.
Yeah, that, and like, again, going back to my professional side, like sales, right?
Okay.
So I feel like I can wear many hats or many faces if I had to. That even kind of goes back to like my background growing up as well. But I'm not shooting down. I'm at the space right now where I'm not like turning away from any opportunities creatively.
I like that.
So, if there's something that comes my way and I feel in alignment with the vibe, the people that are there, and the opportunity, then I feel like I'm inclined just to say, you know what, creatively, who knows what that can lead to. So
Yeah.
and I'm really looking to hone in and shape what that looks like for me as a whole. So that's why I haven't like boxed myself into.
I like that attitude because when I was at the casting, I met this girl and I was asking her like, what kind of acting are you into? She's like, oh, I only do comedy because I want to work on my dramatic persona first. And I was confused, like, why don't you just do it?
Yeah.
Like, Nike the thing, like
Yeah.
just do it. That's how I do it. Like, I've never paid for an acting class. No, I did. I take that back. I had one, but like,
What was that?
it was up in Seattle. I was with the agency back then, and they had invited me to a convention to try to get representation out here in LA, maybe in Atlanta, New York, what have you. Basically, just like try to find representation outside of Seattle. And so it was a class helping us prepare for that convention, like monologues and commercials. And there was one runway class that we did over Zoom because this was like COVID.
Yeah.
That was the most awkward thing I ever did. Like, stand in the corner of your room and take the 3 steps to the camera, and then like, I didn't see enough, walk back, do it again. And it's like, there's nothing to see. I'm taking 2 steps.
That stuff's so subjective too. Whenever it comes to like judging someone's like walk. I mean, yeah, they have like different kinds of walk, like maybe editorial or high fashion or couture, right? But that stuff again. I feel like there's no right or wrong way whenever it comes to walking, because again, you go back to the designer, like what are they looking for aesthetically, and then also what kind of fashion show is it? That's why. I'm just calling it. That's interesting that they're like, show me more. Like, what's the context here? Give me more context.
Right. She's basically, I don't know what the contact was, but they were just like, show us more. You only took 2-3 steps, and it's like, I can't get out of the room. Like, my family's in the living room. Like, what am I gonna like walk in front of the TV while my mom's watching her stories? Like, I can't do that. So that was the one class I took, but like, every time I'm on set, I take it as an opportunity to like learn something new, even if it's not acting. Just like watching the sound guys or the light guys and like asking random questions, like, cause like even in university, like I never really learned anything from the professor because they were just like reading from the book, reading the slides. It was only like when you ask questions that I felt like I was learning something.
Yeah, you mean in terms of like in the acting, entertainment
in
space?
Life.
Okay, just in general.
In life, even through like university, high school, stuff like that. Because like I can just read the slides. I don't have to be here.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? I'll just come to your office hours.
Yeah.
So I kind of took that into the acting entertainment space.
Yeah.
And like, do you feel like classes are beneficial? Don't get me wrong, but do you feel like they're necessary, at least for you?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So the point that I call is really good is that you don't really get experience until you've gotten experience. Like, that's I totally agree with that. That's why I take the mindset that I do, because you really don't know again until you know. And think about any other animal in the animal kingdom outside of like humans.
Sure.
Because the first 3 years of our life, we're just we're useless.
100%.
Yeah. We're useless. But you take any other mammal, right? And then within the first couple of weeks, you're like making moves and stuff like that, right? Learning how to fly or learning how to like walk, and
5 minutes.
Yeah, coming out of the room,
right?
Trying to like wobble and walk.
Otherwise, the leopard gonna get you.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a very basic example. But again, like you don't know how to survive or how to move until you actually do it. So I think you're right. Whenever it comes to just like learning something, yes, the theoretical piece, it gives you good context, but like we can all be in our heads all day long and we can go over cycles. That's why they have new math, right? Because we can sit back and think about new ways to like calculate these things. But until we actually put the calculations in place or take a step, then like you really don't know like if it works for you or not.
Yeah. Like a lot of people just assume like, oh, I'm not like attracted enough to be in the entertainment industry, or I'm not talented enough, or this or that. And it's like, have you seen some commercials these days? Like, like they just get someone off of TikTok to like, and if they're not lip syncing, they don't know how to talk. It's weird. I'm slowly going down that path because I'm lip syncing a lot, but like sometimes you watch a commercial and you're just like, I could do that.
Yeah.
So like I was always just throwing myself out there. Like, let them say no first. Before I say no.
And I think that's the biggest thing, that not even just in the entertainment space, but also in life. Like Unfortunately, a lot of us, and it could be due to social media, you know, or just the way things how are for people's like life at home and stuff like that. But a lot of us do have like a lot of self-limiting beliefs, and that could, again, could be the way that you were brought up. It could be your environment you're currently in. It could be again social media, the things you're surrounding yourself around, or you're looking at it every day.
Yeah.
But it is unfortunately like that's a detractor from your success, or you even being able to find your purpose, your your passion, or where you're supposed to be, because you're saying no before someone tells you no.
Yeah.
Like that's unfortunate, and I'll kind of land that plane on the way I also what kind of adds to like my perspective on why I like to take opportunities. I think that there's a huge gaping hole in the universe where you are not, you know, giving back to the space, the ether, your creative like, juice.
Right.
There's someone, maybe not in this generation, maybe not in the next generation, but it may be in that third generation who's going to benefit from, someone that you touched today from the content you put out there because you inspired them, you taught them something, you showed them how not to do something, and that only exists. That value of that applied or learned knowledge that person or persons may get in the future only comes from you actually just going out and doing your thing.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. How are you giving back right now? Do you have social media? Are you posting things? Are you trying to like encourage people in your family, or what do you think you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I have a couple of different things. Some things that are in like the hopper for me, some things that I've done in the past, and then there's some things I'm doing now. So I'll talk about
what you're doing now.
Doing now. So right now, I'm looking to really just like step into the creative aspect of myself. Like I feel like I have, the vision for cinematics. Like I have an eye for cinematics.
I feel that.
I think I have an eye. The things that I like for cinematics. So, and historically, again, I didn't really pour into myself to allow me to be comfortable, sharing what I thought was cinematic, because of, again, I just wasn't in a space where I didn't have the capacity to do it at that time. So right now, I'm actively, like revamp my profile to like fit, what I think is, telling a story. That's pretty much the denominator for all the things I try to create nowadays. Now, what's the story that I can tell behind this thing?
Let me ask you this. In the past, when you weren't posting as much or you weren't creating as much, what was the reason behind it? Because sometimes people say like, oh, I feel cringy, or they're not confident in their work, or they're lazy, or like all these excuses or reasons. Do you have one that like stands out to you?
Yeah, I do. So this is kind of in alignment with my testimony, honestly. So a lot of people who meet me now, they see who I am today, and they see maybe the things I'm doing, and they have like, they either project or have an idea of like who I am, put me in a box. But to answer that question, like, I didn't have the capacity or the space really to do those things because I was married, and I also have 2 children from that marriage as well. So like a lot of my life, while I was focusing on my career, was pouring into, the idea of like family life, and like running through cycles of trying to make sure that, my 2 little boys were given the right kind of attention, from a father figure perspective, and trying to like navigate this life as a young lad through marriage, which was tough.
I can only imagine. I've never been married. So do you think you're you want to be that father figure for your boys, coming out here to pursue creativity and your passions? Is that one of the reasons to be a better father figure?
100%. One of the things that I knew I wasn't really pouring into during that marriage was not only my creative side, I wasn't neglecting that, but also wasn't like giving myself an opportunity to be the best version of me. And that means like if I'm only pouring in maybe half of me or a third of me professionally, right? And then maybe I'm a dad here too. Like there's so many other parts of me that I wasn't feeding energy into. So they weren't able to see, dad in a different kind of light, in a way where they can also be inspired outside of just like, the traditional means of like, I'm there, I'm hanging out with you guys and you guys see me work type deal, right? So I felt like that was a disservice on my end. I wasn't doing right by my children, and
Absolutely.
I wasn't doing right by myself. So um, now in my life today, things are much different, and I've been since divorce, and my boys have had an opportunity to see me grow,
Mhm.
like personally, which
Yeah.
has been great. I can be more consistently me, right? And then in addition to that, to pretty much get to the point was like coming out to LA or taking on opportunities where I've been signed for a couple of other agencies, so therefore they can see, hey, like you don't have to be one dimensional. You're
Mhm.
you're our creative being. You were put on this earth to create, whatever that means for you. And you also try to preach in their vocabulary that can't is not a word that we
Yeah.
should be like using with like such ease. You
100%.
can do anything. You can't. Well, I mean, you
You can.
can technically.
Sometimes it ends you in jail, but you can do anything you want.
With good reason to serve. You can. You should. You should do anything you want.
I'm glad you talked about agencies though, because that was my next question. Did you have an agency when you moved out here? Are you like free falling it? Because I just kind of threw myself into this Southern California life. Did you have an agency before you came out here?
So I'd still live in Austin, but Austin, Texas. But I do have an agency that I'm a part of, and that's how I even found out about the cast call that we got a chance to connect with. So
Time out real quick. So you still live in Austin currently? You have an agency in Austin?
they are based out in LA.
You have an LA agency
Yeah.
that hooks you up while you're in Austin.
Yeah.
Do they have like a branch in Austin, or are they just like purely LA? They found you online.
Found me online. There was actually a cast call. LA. They operate in I think 10 different states across the U.S. specifically.
Nice.
But they're headquartered out in LA. They've been in business for about 20 years,
Sure.
19, 20 years or whatnot. So a lot of their talent is in California, and
Yeah.
a lot of the cast calls are dedicated to California.
Yeah.
But they do have models across the entire North Pacific, Northwest or whatnot, Pacific
Okay.
Northwest. So cast call, that's how I found out about them. They found out about me. I applied. I went through the rounds and stuff like that. Then they were like, okay, great, we would like to represent you. And then I went through the whole process of becoming getting on board, getting listed on their website, and then getting all the stuff. So that's pretty much how that works for me now. That's how I'm in Texas, but I am familiar with some things that happen out here in LA. In addition to that, they're going back to like the runway walk,
Okay.
like lifestyle. There was when I started to do the classes, and I was beginning to be a part of some of the events, the runway walks and stuff like that. And one of the designers who was hosting like the class, well, the designer who was hosting the class, she was training people up, local models, to be able to be a part of her show in the fall, and at that time, fall 2022. And it got to a point to where it was like 60 or 80 to almost 90 people in that class or whatever. She was going to sign 20 of them,
Okay.
and then be a part of her her brand. And she moves to California, and then expands over to New York, and then eventually her 5-year plan is like Milan and London and stuff like
Oh,
that.
that's awesome.
So I also was doing that as well. So that's where, between the management company that keeps me in the know for things in LA,
Mhm.
that getting signed with that designer, I was doing local shows around that time, and that also kind of got me representation for like local photographers, local designers, and also other local fashion show event planners, where they're like, okay, we need a model for that. So that's how I've been able to stay busy even in Austin, even though a lot of my management company is like doing things based out in LA.
Well, in this industry, a lot of it is like word of mouth,
Yeah.
who you know, getting referred, this, and that. Are those the only way you've been booking work up to now, through your agency and word of mouth and references?
Yeah.
Earlier, you were asking me about the casting websites that I've been using.
Yeah.
So to everybody out there, I have 3. I use Backstage, I use Casting Networks, and I use Actors Access. Those are my 3 big ones that I like to use. If you have any other ones, please put them down in the comments. But have you ever heard of these websites before?
So whenever I signed with the agency that's based out of LA, they let me know that, like, they told me to sign up with Casting
Okay.
Networks. So I have the profile for that. They have me listed as a representative under their
Yes.
brand for that
Mhm.
there. So that's really the only one that I was familiar with. But the other two that you mentioned, I'm like, okay, solid.
Well, Casting Networks is actually my personal favorite. Most of the better paying gigs are on there.
Yeah, it looks like it's really solid.
Like, yeah, Casting Networks, you'll get background for like $200, $300. Whereas like backstage, you'll get a lead acting role for like $50. So casting is definitely where a lot of the commercial work is.
Yeah.
Have you ever applied for yourself personally, or you just let representation take care of the website?
I applied for myself personally, so I did that, and I have my own profile, but they have me linked as like a representative for them as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the benefit of that is.
I think the benefit is just they can apply for you, because I've been to a couple of meet and greets in LA, and someone was saying that certain jobs are not listed for everybody.
Yeah.
Some of them are only listed to agents and agencies.
Okay.
And they even have so the websites split it up sometimes, but there's also complete websites that only agencies have access to.
Gotcha.
So there is that, like, sometimes you need an agent to apply for certain things, but I mean, applying for yourself is just as good.
Yeah, that makes sense though, because whenever I joined the agency, they let me know that, they told me about casting networks, and they were just like, set up your profile, but this is how we're gonna book your your jobs through this platform basically. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, because I'll apply for a job in casting networks. For example, I was thankful enough to work on a Netflix commercial.
Solid.
That was actually an ad for Chris Rock's live comedy special.
Yeah, that's dope.
I don't know if you've seen it, but like everyone's just like in a hurry, like, oh, it's live, it's going live, like everyone's in a hurry.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, like some parents put their kids to sleep, don't even finish the story, just go to bed, it's live, it's live.
Yeah.
And then I was at the grocery store, like being all slow, and the lady in front of me just like throwing bags of chips, like it's live, it's live. So that was a lot of fun, but
Nice.
but the reason I tell you this is because I booked it myself, and I got to keep the whole paycheck. Whereas my scene partner, I asked her like, how did you get this gig? And she's like, oh, my agent got it for me.
Yeah,
So she had to give the agent 20%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's that to look into as well.
That makes sense. That makes sense. 'Cause I was, yeah. I like that. And what I'm curious about for you, whenever you take a look at like casting networks, like, do you typically stay within, your region of like LA, or do you like branch out and go anywhere else?
I will apply to anything,
Okay.
anywhere in the world.
Okay.
Like just earlier today, I applied as a background. That's like only $100 a day, but it's like all the way in Wales or the UK or something.
Yeah.
And like, I just applied just because,
Yeah.
let them see my face type of thing.
Yeah.
So I'll apply to anything, everywhere. I've only gotten gigs in LA and San Diego. I've yet to get something in like Vegas or the Bay or anything like that.
Gotcha.
So I'm still waiting on those breaks.
Solid.
But yeah, I apply to everything. I don't like. Why not?
I like that. Yeah. And then you get out there, do your thing. And
Yeah.
even if things turn out to be a little bit different, you get a chance to explore a different part of the world, the city.
Right,
Yeah.
and you at least get to experience things, and so for me personally, like I want to grow my YouTube channel and not just do interviews and podcast things, but I want to produce like videos, whether there's sketches or documentaries or actual films that I write with my friends or by myself. Like I'm trying to form a production company, so I try to go to every gig and just see how people produce their stuff. And granted, at first, the most thing I paid attention to was the snacks and the crafty tables. So I'm familiar. It's Costco, guys. Just go to Costco, get a big old box. That's how they do it. But just seeing everything else, like from going to a warehouse with the crazy lights and the cranes and the meshes and this and that to get like the perfect lighting, to someone in his backyard just saying like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So
Doing the thing.
yeah, it's just gathering as much information as I can to further myself.
Are you a writer as well? Do you?
I'm getting into it.
Okay.
Don't come for me, but I use ChatGPT at the moment. I'll have an idea and I just tell ChatGPT, write me something about this or that.
I mean, it's crazy if we're not using ChatGPT.
I mean, it's a great way to flush out ideas.
Yeah.
But from time to time, I'll have something, like you said, like sometimes you just see it. Like you see what you want to make, and so I just write it down myself.
Yeah.
And then, maybe if I can't think up of dialogue, I'll just decide like, yep, this is just gonna be like a silent film type of deal.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll go to ChatGPT and be like, what would someone say
Yeah.
in this scenario?
I feel like that works because at the end of the day, like, I mean, in my opinion, there's no such thing as an original idea. I think the ideas are surfacing or siphoning throughout the ether.
So technically there is a book out there that explains that every story can be broken down into one of like 15 or 26 categories, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when people are like, oh, that's just a remake of this, and that's a remake of this, and that's a remake of that, people will just cut them off and be like, well, did you hear about the original 15 or whatever?
Shut that down real quick.
So like
Yeah,
everything
like-
is a remake of something. Like
Yeah.
you can always connect things to other things. Like
100%.
recently someone said Succession and that weird awkward family show. A bunch of white people.
Like Modern Family or
No, much older. Damn, I'm drawing a blank. It's such a classic show too. Anyways, it was just like there was a comedy version of Succession that came out a while back, and someone just like, oh, this is the same exact show. Like
Just-
the disappointed father, the crazy grandmother, the son that was supposed to make it but didn't, the one that's a piece of shit but wants it all. Like it's all the same story. So
yeah,
what's the matter with a little
yeah,
little juice?
That's all that is.
a little sugar.
That's all it is, man. That's why I feel like the ChatGPT route, you're doing your thing there. You're still adding, here to whatever you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely. I won't just take it verbatim from ChatGPT because it'll say something. It's just like, yeah, nobody talks like that.
No, yeah, exactly.
Or at least not in my world.
Yeah. that little switch right there is already enough, right?
Yeah. And like it's almost like instead of doing an internship with the writer and screenplay writers and this and that, you can just ask ChatGPT to teach you. Like, hey, you write it, let me read your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that gives you ideas and like building off of this and building off of that. Like as an engineer, am I a copycat for learning Isaac Newton's laws of physics? Should I have come up with it myself? Like why do it? Like just build off of the one before, keep going. Let kids write their essays in ChatGPT. I use Wikipedia all the time. I would just use the sources from Wikipedia as my sources when Wikipedia was my source. That was my workaround. I would have like 10 sources. And my teacher would be like, you really read all these sources? I was like, you can read them and find out which one I used. I didn't use any. Wikipedia all day.
Thank God for Wikipedia.
Thank God for Wikipedia.
You know the story behind Wikipedia?
What happened?
Like how it was like made or created or whatever.
No, what happened?
So, and this is why, again, I'm kind of going back to what we were originally talking about, like being open and being willing to like take on new things or new ideas. Like, a lot of the things in life that we experience today, the things are widely accessible. Not all of them, but a lot of them are because like people came together from different backgrounds and like different like, socioeconomical situations and like threw the stuff together. So Wikipedia. Around the same time Wikipedia was being created, there was like a group of like scholars, right? These guys were being pulled from like West Point, Yale, Princeton, the top of the top, cadets and sergeants and all these like, really smart folks to create an encyclopedia. So therefore it can be mass produced and then pushed out to the world so people can like learn about stuff about the world, right? So that was a project, that was the idea. So the way I imagined it, I wasn't there, but the way I imagined it's like a big Oval Office, like in the White House or something like that. All these big wigs get in and they're all throwing their big ideas, swinging their big old dangling, saying, talking about why this idea should be in the book and why this one should not. So just even like me thinking about that big round table, all the big personalities in the room, like that's already a lot to make happen. And then two, I'm pretty sure because everybody has their ego, they're just like, no, this is why we should have this, or this is why we should have that type deal. On the other side, around that same time, I don't know, I think it was a college student, I could be totally wrong, but there was some person, right? I think it was part of the project, I think it was in college. They were like, I want to have the ability to share information instantaneously. The internet was, kind of a thing for a little bit. So why not just create a page? It was Wikipedia, and then there's a random thing like a rug or a couch. What is a rug? And then or what is a couch? And they entered their description. And the idea was, let's just have random people across the internet, right, give their own ideas, or their factual information about these things about the world, right? So fast forward, you don't know about this room full of people and who tried to create this encyclopedia.
Yeah.
We know about Wikipedia, and that's because everybody. And again, we know. Growing up in high school, they're like, don't use Wikipedia, but we all use Wikipedia because it was like a mecca for information.
Yeah, Google would always take you to Wikipedia.
The first link. So it's I think it kind of puts a cap on what we were talking about before around just like being open and being able to take in information and like taking on opportunities. Wikipedia really was a form of that. People all across the world were just like, oh, this is a thing. Let me contribute my thing or my thought or like the fact about this thing that I'm experiencing over here, and it grew way faster and it became something of a staple, way much better than an encyclopedia would. And it's also fluid, right? Because you can change it on the internet and stuff like that. So that's kind of the backstory to Wikipedia.
It's amazing. I love stories like that where it's just like, you know what? Just like let people throw their 2 cents. We'll figure it out later. Yeah. We'll clean it up later. Yeah. That's awesome.
Get it out there.
Get it out there. Well, Moss, I appreciate you for letting me interview you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to show everybody what entertainers and creative people down here on the streets, not the famous ones, not the ones with thousands or millions, but the people just trying to get by. So tell the people where they can find you. I'll put your Instagram link in the comment section, but let the people know where they can find you, and give them one piece of advice if they're looking to get into this.
Yeah, sure thing. So first off, thank you. This is an awesome opportunity. You're great people, great vibe. If you couldn't feel it through the camera, this guy's awesome. So,
Habibi, I appreciate that.
Definitely, if you get an opportunity to sit next to this cat, take full advantage of that. So you can find me at Moss of Moss, MASOFMOSS. It's a play on words.
Okay.
So I'm not Spanish. I'm not fluent in Spanish, but Moss equals more.
Yes.
So more of Moss is pretty much the play on those words there. Moss of Moss.
I'll put the link in the comments. Don't worry, y'all.
And the thing I would recommend for anyone looking to get started, kind of going back to what we mentioned before, just like having an open mind. It's normal to have self-limiting beliefs, to have these ideas and like doubts about yourself. That's normal, but you're bigger than your thoughts. You're not your thoughts, and there's so much more of a world out there that you have the opportunity to experience, and you can step into just by thinking of yes for you. So you deserve it. We all deserve it. And again, thanks for the time.
Habibi, thank you. I appreciate everything, and yeah, man, good luck out there, dog.
Perfect. Get you, bro.
Habibi.